Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Buckles Locker, Friday edition recap. Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. I know y'all been waiting on me. Here we go. Shout out to all the Pilots and Sea Bandits. Thank you for joining Buckles Locker. Subscribe to the channel, like the channel, share all the videos. Make sure you hit the notification bell icon to notify you all new videos that's posted on the channel. Y'all know me. I know y'all was waiting on me last night. I know y'all was probably wondering why I didn't live stream. Let everybody come on in, man. Come on in. It's about to be we about to have a conversation. Yep, about to have a real nice conversation. I'm not even mad, folks. Believe it or not, I'm not even mad. I'm not upset. I'm not. If you're mad and upset, I mean, I understand. I'm not mad at all. To be honest with you, I'm not even disappointed. I mean, just overall, I mean, I ain't tripping. We got 12 games to go. But we are gonna have a conversation. I mean, we got to talk football too now. You know, I can't let this loss slide, but I'm not tripping though. I mean, I picked the Falcons to win, and boom. I mean, it was a tough game, you know. I wouldn't be mad. If you mad, I mean, I understand, but I wouldn't lose no hair or sleep over it, you know. Probably a few of you probably wondering why is Buckles Locker not turning up? I don't need to. Y'all saw the game, I saw it. Y'all saw the same game I saw. I don't need to turn up. For what? I'm not going to be yelling around today. I'm not going to be like, oh, I mean, I'm just going to talk about what I saw, the same things you guys saw. I mean, if I didn't see something, correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm just going to tell you what I saw. Before I get into the depth of the game last night, let me give a special shout out to Logan Hall. Special shout out to Logan Hall. You know, I've been on Logan Hall, the opposite side of Logan Hall's play on the field for the last couple of years because of where he was drafted. Last night was Logan Hall's best game. He had 2 sacks. Up until this point, a lot of us looked at Logan Hall as a Jag, and I still think he's in that category. But if this is a sign, which is kind of like awkward, but after 2 years and some change, maybe he might be trying to turn the corner on becoming a pass rusher from the 5 technique. but it's taken him a long time. Sometimes it takes a while for a player to develop, but we also got to put in perspective that we do put a lot of pressure on these players to perform, especially when they drafted in the first 2 rounds. One game does not cover up the totality of Logan Hall's career so far with the Bucs. He's still got a long way to go. Still got a lot to prove. But I have to give him a congratulations for playing a hell of a game. I've always done this. People might think I might be too hard on the Bucs and I'm too tough and he's negative and blah blah blah. I don't give a rat's booty about what you say. I tell it how it is, whether you like it or not, whether it's good or bad. And if you don't like how I present what I see from the Bucs, then come see me. I always say that. If you don't like what I say, come see me. I mean, good luck, but come see me. And I mean, good luck is like, be respectful. But if a player has played not well, not perform up to expectations, and he has a good game, I have no problem giving him big ups. No problem. I've always done this. Nobody's excluded from getting a shout out or getting constructive criticism, right? But Logan Hall, I have to give him his props. That was his best game. I want to see more, right? This can't be it. This can't be it for Logan Hall. Like, let's not get caught up in the loss, but we still got to talk about the good too. But also keep it in retrospect, like, let's be real about what we saw. And I had to give this special segment to Logan Hall, this special little brief window for Logan Hall to let everybody know, like, look, I am not a Logan Hall guy. I'm not on the bandwagon. I'm not on the bandwagon. I still think that pick was, there was better players. Even at this point, there are better players than Logan Hall that was drafted after him. That's high insight, right? But if this is a sign to come, then we need to see more. One game does not define a player, especially in the NFL. Anything that any sport that requires you to play multiple games, one game don't define you, especially when you're an up and coming player or you're a young player, right? You got room to grow. But Logan Hall got work to do. We need to see more of that. And you got to think about it too. And just from a football perspective, those 2 sacks were good sacks, right? But I watched the game a couple of times. We need to see more consistency. He's extremely inconsistent. He shows flashes here and there, but he's extremely inconsistent. That's my hashtag for the day. The whole picture of this whole game. But Logan Hall shows very little flash, right? But he's very inconsistent, and this ties into the whole entire coaching staff and the team and blah blah blah. Now, as I transition to the game, the score was 36-30, overtime loss. And before I continue on, let me give me some shout outs today real quick. Let's see who in the building. We got Robert Jr., 2005, Matt Diaflormonte, Allen Robertson. I did call that loss. I called it. I'm not going to throw it in everybody's face. Sandoval 813, Clay Geiger, Aaron Amos. What up, bro? Zach Jarvis, what's up, man? Sherm City. Are you ready to hear what we did wrong? Oh, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to tell you what I saw. You might have saw something different, but I'm going to tell you what I saw, what the Bucs did wrong, and what they did good and what they did bad, and what they did ugly. There's 3 things I look at: the good, bad, and the ugly. Some people don't want me to talk about the bad or the ugly, but I don't care because you got to get this work. As a fan, you got to hear it, because the other channels, they'll probably skip around it and be like, oh, well, try to put some sugar on top of a boo-boo and still smell like boo-boo. 239 roster EG Giddy. Yeah, I tried to tell him. I tried. It's some people just do not accept the reality of it. And it's okay. It's okay. Payday 39. Haitian Boy 407. Mom for Christ, Lord Jesus. Stephen Quintana, Rashard West. You ready to hear it? Ready to hear the hate from? Well, I get it. Well, me and you don't see the same page. So when we think different with football, so it's okay, Rashad. I can clearly see that we think very different, opposite ends of the spectrum. Mr. 13-4, ridiculous, but whatever. We see things different, but no disrespect though. Mopar, but what's up, man? I got your super chats in a second. Hold on. Who else in the building? Austin Packham, what's up, man? Vincent, what's the deal, man? Sal 319. Oh, you negative? Yeah, I know. They don't like it. I mean, especially the ones that got the high expectations and they don't really they look at football different than I do. Those are the ones that kind of be like the negative thing. They say that because I don't see football like them, you know. And I don't have no problem with those folks, you know. That's not. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's how it's opinionated, right? I mean, I respect that though, but I try not to really engage with the people that think like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, no disrespect though. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just going to be a circle of arguments. And I don't like to argue. I'm not combative. I can be, but I prefer not to be. And those folks will always try to go with feelings, and I don't go by feelings, and I go by facts. That's the most of my output, factual based outputs. So 13-4, 12-5, folks. Good luck. Marlon, what's up, man? Big Buck. Well, I know you heard, man. Brent, what's up, man? Clay Geiger, I see. Third Matic. Marlon in the building. I'm gonna get to your super chat. Andre Cook, man. He said you would have Devin White. Brent. Lone Knight. What's up, buddy? Where you been at? Are you hot, man? Relax. We're gonna have a nice conversation. We're gonna have a nice conversation today. C Brady 92. What's up, man? No, I wouldn't call them. I'm not gonna call them cornballs or nothing like that. I'm not gonna do that. I respect people's opinions, whether it's factual based. If it's a fact based statement, that's no problem with that. I mean, can't refute facts, regardless of how you feel. But when people make statements about based on what they feel the team should be like, that's not reality. That's just how you feel. That's just a image in your head, illusion, mirage that you created, that you got high hopes of Super Bowl buzz, 13-4, 14-3 type mindset. And I kind of like, I have a little sympathy for those folks because they have high hopes and then they real fans. I can respect that. But like I said, I'm a football fan first, then a Bucs fan second. So I always look at things from a football perspective versus a Bucs perspective. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I love the conversations, because there's different type of people, how they think, how they view the teams, and not just the Bucs fans. There's fans around the NFL that view their team more than what they really are, right? Like, unless you like the Ravens, the Chiefs, like, the 49ers, the consistent winning teams, the New England Patriots for a long time. I get it, right? But if you like teams like the Bucs, Panthers, you gotta humble yourself and look at the reality of the expectations. Because when you shoot high, when the team has not been consistently winning at a high level, you only set yourself up for disappointment. This is why I'm not really mad at the game. I'm here for this is why I'm not mad at the game. I'm not even tripping. Like, I saw the game for what it is. Like, there's no way to tap dance around it. There's no way to hide it. The Bucs didn't play well. You know what I'm saying? And we all saw it, and I know there's some calls, and we'll get into the calls of the referees and all that, because it was both sides. They missed some calls, and that's cool. But we can't use that angle and say, well, they missed the face mask call. Well, the interception in the Detroit Lions game that Zion McCullough had, Christian Eisen bumped Jameson Williams. That was clearly illegal contact or pass interference, and Zion McCullough got an interception. That wasn't called. So we can't have it both ways. When it benefits us, we don't say nothing about it. I did. That shouldn't have been an interception. That should have been a flag. But it happens to us, everybody crying about it. It's interesting how that works. You know what I'm saying? And then also Rashad White did fumble, and they ruled that he was down, and the replay showed, and I watched it a couple times, he wasn't down, he fumbled. And the Falcons actually recovered because Justin Simmons was like, we got the ball. And the ref was like, no, he down. And the Falcons, for whatever reason, they never challenged that fumble. And when I slowed it down, that was a fumble. So you can't have it both ways. When it benefits us, it's no, everyone be quiet. And then if it don't benefit us, it's oh, they cheated us. They should have made the call. And even if they would have made that call, it was a holding call on Graham Barton, which I'm gonna get into him later in this conversation. He didn't play well. You know what I'm saying? Like he had a pretty rough game. But let's back it up to the overall perspective. I gotta start with the coaching. Coaching was responsible, like most of this responsibility was on the coaching. The head coach DC, Todd Bowles, and also the OC, Liam Cohen. So let me give it to you from this perspective, right? Football is a team sport. The guys got to be coached up to win the game and be consistent. These type of games, when you lose these type of games, they have a lasting effect. You know, they have a lasting effect. And people don't really like, oh, that doesn't get over it. No, they don't work like that. Because those guys, they play hard, they work their tail off, they blood, sweat, and tears. And to lose like that when the game was pretty much in the first half. In the first half, the Bucs were totally in control. Clifford Bradford, what's up? Where you been at, Clifford? Who that for life? What's up, buddy? Ryan Howard, y'all see you. The Bucs were in control in the first half, totally in the first half. This was a tale of two halves, and this came down to coaching, right? Coaching is too inconsistent for the Bucs, and it starts with Todd Bowles. Remember now, the team is a mirror image of the head coach. So last night you saw the floor, you saw the ceiling, you saw like in the middle, and Bucs are inconsistent, even though they're 3-2, which is good, right? Which is where I had them at, right? But I had the losses flipped, right? But they're inconsistent right now. You know, they're inconsistent. And they got issues. They're gonna have issues every game until they figure it out. And like I said, we'll get into that in a second. But I got to start with coaching. Let me get to coaching. Neo L, what's up, man? Bucs for life. Oh, Bucs life, all caps. I got to start with coaching. This is on Todd Bowles, first and foremost. Not 100% on Todd Bowles, but even in the first half, you saw the signs where it was going to be an issue if they don't make corrections in the second half. But let's start with the first half. First half, defensively, you saw the signs. Hills were 8-1-3. You know, you saw the signs in the first half when the Bucs were on defense. Now, remember, Todd Bowles is the head coach and the DC. Despite the fact that the label is Larry Foote is the DC and the co-defensive coordinator. Don't care about that. Todd Bowles calls the plays. So he's responsible for the Atlanta Falcons offense output. Even in the first half, even though the Bucs were dominating in the first half, I mean, they like y'all saw it. They were dominating. But the Falcons kept around. They stayed around. They kept it close enough, like a snake in striking distance, right? You would think that the way the Bucs play offensively, this should have been an easy game, a blowout, blah blah blah, because the Bucs scored every time they touched the ball. 3 straight possessions, 24 points in the first half. And, you know, in the NFL, once you score over 20 points, your winning chances go up. But when you looked at the halftime perspective, it was, 24-17. It was like, well, we completely dominated the first half. The defense, was inconsistent, though. They played well in spots in the first half, but they were too inconsistent because Kirk Cousins had over 200 and matter of fact, I think it's over like 250 yards in the first half or something like that. I think he was the first quarterback in the NFL history to have 250 yards in both halves and plus overtime, which is interesting. It happened against the Bucs, right? But Kirk Cousins was moving the ball quite efficiently and quite easily. He was 42 for 58 for 509 yards. That's bad. That's bad on the defense. And I get it. We have injuries, and I totally understand that. But in the NFL, when you give up that many yards, now usually when you throw the ball 58 times, you losing, right? And then mind you, to keep in mind, the Falcons was losing pretty much most of the game. So if you look at the probability, the win probability for the Bucs for the entire game, it had the Bucs winning the entire game. The win probability for the Bucs. Dr. Turner, what's up, man? The win probability was like over 80% the entire time because the Bucs controlled the entire game. You know, but when we go back to the first half, the Bucs, you would think that looking at what you saw last night, you think that the lead shouldn't have been that close. It shouldn't have been 24-17. It should have been probably like 24-10, 24-3, 24-7, somewhere up in there. But when you looked up, and this was my concern while I was watching the game, I was like 24-17. And I said this. And they asked Raheem Morris at halftime, what you're going to do with the defense, blah, 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 blah. And Raheem was like, we got to stop the explosive plays, blah, blah, blah. And I was wondering, I wonder what Todd Bowles is going to tell the guys, in particular the defense, to tighten up in certain areas. Because in the first half, Kirk Cousins was diamond and like killing the middle of the field. And we'll get to that in a second. In the middle of the field, it was not good. And even just in general, it was not good pass defense-wise. The Bucs looked confused. They was inconsistent. They were in the wrong places, missing tackles, taking reckless chances, and it bit them in the butt. But back to the first half. Kirk Cousins was moving the ball up and down the field. Now, the Falcons hit Young Hung Cole. He missed the field goal. And it was cause for concern as I watched the first half. I was like, if the Bucs obviously don't make adjustments, in particular in the secondary, and I know they had injuries, so I see Dennis out, Winfield Jr. out, Jordan Whitehead got banged up, Tykees Smith got banged up, and Agent Smith got banged up. They were missing some guys. Kalaj Clancy was banged up. He didn't play. Luke Gadecki didn't play. So I get it. Remember, we played a team last week in the Eagles that were missing their 2 starting receivers, 2 top 15 receivers, and a top 3 right tackle. And we jumped up and down beating the Eagles. So I find it kind of interesting when we lose to the Falcons, people are like, oh, we're not healthy, blah, blah, blah. So you mean to tell me when it benefits the Bucs, you cry. But when the other team is injured, you're jumping up and down, beating your chest. So which one is it? Which one is it, Bucs fans? Like you laugh, you didn't say anything about the Eagles missing 2 top receivers and a top right tackle, which completely made the Eagles offense look different. Y'all know well as I know, if you know football, come on now, if A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith playing and Lane Johnson playing, that's a different game. That's a different game. Let's be real. That's a different game. But then the Bucs lose is, we got Winfield Jr. out. We got Kalaj Clancy out. We got this guy. But which one is it? You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. Well, the Bucs got to get healthy. Well, a lot of teams got to get healthy. But it can't just benefit the Bucs and everybody else. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So, but back to the first half. The Bucs offensively looked very good. Very well. They played very well offensively. They were making the timely throws. Now, mind you, remember what I told y'all about sustainability, right? Can this style of offense be sustainable for the entire season? And I always wonder, I was wondering about this matchup. I was like, well, the Falcons got 2 top 10 safeties, sitting back there. Will Liam Cohen, Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, and company attack those 2 in the middle of the field? So if you watch the first half, how the game plan was set up, they didn't attack Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons. Remember now, Justin Simmons, he's old, and the end of the. Well, guess what? Liam Cohen didn't play with him. They didn't test the safeties like that. Stayed away from Bates, stayed away from Simmons. A lot of the stuff was horizontal, which is fine, which is a good game plan because you don't want to challenge those guys. Those guys are veterans. They're very, 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 very good safety-wise. Jesse Bates, a top 3 safety with Winfield Jr., Mika Fitzpatrick. I put Jesse Bates right there, Winfield Jr. They right there, interchangeable. Justin Simmons, still good. Still a good cover safety. Regardless of, he's 31, he's old. Guess what? I bet you we can use him. Trust me. I watched the tape. I watched the game. They didn't test Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons through the air like that. Clearly, because the balls was with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, they was like real quick, rhythm oriented offense, right? But they wasn't chucking that ball down the field because those guys are too good. So it kind of put the Bucs offense in a box. But they did very well in that box in the first half because the way the plays were designed, I was like, okay, they can stay away from Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons and move the ball horizontally with Chris Godwin, Rachaad White. Y'all saw it. A lot of screen passes, a lot of quick throws and stuff like that. And it worked. It worked to perfection. It worked the entire first half. 24 points. Chase McLaughlin, it worked. It was a perfect game plan for that type of defense versus those type of safeties. Because believe it or not, y'all can joke about Justin Simmons, but he's still a top-level safety. Regardless of how you feel, he's still good. And I guarantee you, if he was on our team, we will be jumping up and down, high-fiving, chest bumping. I was watching the tape. I was like, Liam Cohen is literally staying away from him. Very rarely, if y'all watch the game, correct me if I'm wrong, how often did the ball go in the vicinity of those guys? And I was a little worried about. I put that as a cliff note in my back pocket. Like, you can't give that much respect to two safeties, but I understand that those guys are good. But it's like, well, they box it in the offense, and eventually the Falcons gonna probably smother the offense. But I was like, well, first half is all good. It works. The running game was working. Finally, the one game that the Bucs have a running game. The one game up until this point that the Bucs have a good running game, over 140 yards rushing. So it helped Baker Mayfield. Bucket Irvin, Rachaad White, they were doing their thing. Rachaad White got dinged up. Bucket Irvin, of course, he got fumbled. We'll get to that. But the running game was good. This is what I was asking about. When you go on the road, you got to be able to run the ball. This was in the first half. Okay? Everything, special teams was good with Sean Tucker, Bucket Irvin returning kicks. Everything was going the Bucs' way. But when you looked up at the score, it was 24-17. It went into halftime. And if you look at the Falcons offense, they were moving the ball at will. Yes, the Bucs defense stepped up in a couple occasions. I get that point. But it did not cover up what was about to happen in the second half. So Todd Bowles didn't coach a great first half. Even though the Bucs were winning, they were winning in spite of Todd Bowles. Because the defense was just, from KJ Britt, even Levante David had some issues. Tyke Smith had some issues. Zion didn't play his best game. Dean is Jamel Dean, he's like kind of right there with Carlton Davis. I don't even know why they kept him. I'm over it, Jamel Dean, He played too soft to me. He's not a dog. Like Sal say, we need some dogs. Brian Gamble, what's up, man? DP Buck 32. Jay Foster. And then you just look at the team, and that's what I was trying to explain to y'all even before the season started, about the Bucs roster. People kind of like put too much stock in the roster. Top roster and top. No, man, we got one of the worst. Not one of the worst, but our depth is not good. It's to the point where the Bucs got to get healthy, because if they don't get healthy, they're going to lose a lot more games like this. They're going to be competitive. They're going to be fiery. They're going to be in these games, but then you're going to look up and they're going to lose. Remember, the Bucs are not a terrible team. They're top heavy as far as they're good players. But when it comes to that depth, to me, I think the Bucs, the depth of the Bucs is it's not good. It's not good. It's not good enough to win games like this, because when guys get hurt, the next guy up has to be somewhat close enough to the starter. It's like a huge drop-off when Winfield Jr. is out. A huge drop-off when Kalijah Clancy's out. Luka Decky's out. It's too big of a drop-off. And the depth is showing its face. And I told y'all before the season start, I said the Bucs cannot afford injuries. And the Bucs injuries have hit early and they hit hard. The Bucs have a young roster, but it's very inexperienced and very inconsistent. And then you add that up with inconsistent coaching, with Todd Bowles has a ceiling. And I told y'all this. You saw the ceiling last night. Matter of fact, the tale of 2 weeks, right? Eagles game, complete domination. Falcons game, like WTF. This last night was a WTF game. That's another WTF game. That is another the Broncos game, the Falcons game, WTF games. The reason why I say the Falcons are WTF game because the Bucs were in complete control, even up until the fourth quarter with a minute left. The win probability was over 90% in the fourth quarter with less than 2 minutes left, over 90%. And then you wake up the next day, the Bucs lose the game. Unbelievable. That's coaching. Some games, coaching just going to have to win. You're going to have to coach your way out of that loss and turn it into a win. How do you be in complete control of a game for 90%, 95% of the game? And even in the last 2 minutes, your win percentage or your win probability is like 98%. And then you turn around and you lose the game in that fashion. That's going to sting, folks. That's going to sting. And I told y'all before about Todd Bowles and the ceiling for the Bucs. As long as Todd Bowles is a head coach, I don't know what to expect. Anything outside of NFC Championship, Super Bowl, I'm not even thinking about that with Todd Bowles as the head coach because he's not that type of coach. He's not that type of coach. He has a ceiling, and you saw it last night. Remember, these games are going to get harder. As the season progresses and teams make the adjustments and this and that, these games are not going to get easier. These next 6 weeks, this is what it is. And the Bucs got to find a way to survive these next 6 weeks. Regardless of how healthy they are, these games, they're going to be facing teams that are better coached, with better coaches, better coaching staff, better roster, better GM. And there's nothing you can do about it. You got to coach your way out of it. And you got to have health, and you got to have good coaching and a good game plan. And the Bucs had that in the first half. But I always say this. Games are not decided by 61 plays from any team. The games are decided 10 plays. You can point out 10 plays in that game that decided that game. And most of those plays came in the second half. Matter of fact, you can say all 10 plays came in the second half because the game was when the game is close, who's going to make the play? First and foremost, who is going to make the right coaching decisions? Todd Bowles challenged a fumble that he shouldn't have had. He had no business challenging. Sometimes it comes down to coaching. Look, talent can get you to a degree, but there is going to be situational football where coaching matters. And this is where the Bucs are going to come up short in some of these games. Some of these games, just because of Todd Bowles and who he is, we're going to come up short. Now, we're going to win some games. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm not saying the Bucs are going to lose the rest of the games. I'm not saying that. They're going to win some games, but there's going to be some games you're going to be like, damn, if Todd Bowles would have just, coached a better game. We saw it last night. And as I transitioned to the second half, let me put it in a bigger perspective for y'all. In the second half, you saw the peaks and valleys of this team. Inconsistency. This team has a ceiling, whether you want to believe it or not. Because of Todd Bowles running the show. The Bucs were outscored 19-6 in the second half. So who made the better adjustments? Who made the better adjustments? Raheem Morris, former head coach himself, losing record head coach, not good. Did y'all know Raheem Morris' record after halftime when trailing? It's like, but coming into the game, it was like 10-30 or like 9-28. It was like something like that, or 10-28, something like that. Raheem Morris is not known to be a good second half coach. So for Todd Bowles to get out coached in the second half and out adjusted in the second half by Raheem Morris is a indictment on Todd Bowles' ceiling. He has a pure ceiling, and if you don't believe that, more power to you. I'm not even going to argue with you. If you think Todd Bowles is this, you think Todd Bowles is this, or this, that, I would use the word mediocre at best as a head coach. A mediocre head coach with talented players on the roster. That's what the Bucs are. But as long as Todd Bowles is the head coach, mediocre at best, whatever word you want to use, I don't care. Well, I'm telling you what I see, and the history shows you this. 20-19 as the Bucs head coach. What more do you? 39 games. What more do you want? How much more do you need to see that the Bucs have a ceiling with Todd Bowles? There will be no Super Bowl with Todd Bowles. There will be no NFC Championship with Todd Bowles. That's just in my opinion. That's my opinion from what I see and how I look at Todd Bowles. We will win some games. Don't get me wrong. But last night, in the second half, for the Bucs to get outscored and totally dominated, 19-6, that was the score. The Bucs did absolutely nothing good in the second half. What it did, I mean, there was some couple things that did good in the second half, but nothing of significance to win the game. Think about this, 19-6 in the second half. So that told you who was the better coaching staff last night. Dominated in the second half, 19-6. Baker Mayfield had 131 yards passing in the first half with 3 touchdowns. Finished the game with 182 yards. How is that possible? So Todd Bowles and Liam Cohen got to take some accountability, some responsibility as coaching. What was working for the Bucs, you stopped doing. See, in the NFL, you can't go into a shell. You cannot go into a shell and think you're going to win the game. 19-6 in the second half, totally dominated. The Falcons staff made the adjustments. How in the world, when Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Baker Mayfield throws for less than 70 yards in the second half? Can anybody explain that? 131 yards, 3 touchdowns in the first half. Finished the game with 182 yards. And that's not even Baker's fault. He got to follow what he's being told. But, I mean, Baker had a good game in the first half. But in the second half, field goal, punt, fumble, field goal. Field goal, punt, field goal, fumble. And punt. That don't even make any sense. After coming off of last week's game, producing through the air, and Baker was playing well in the first half. But then you go into a shell with Baker Mayfield. If it's confusing some of y'all, just go back and watch the tape. Go back and watch the tape. The Bucs didn't play like they played in the first half. The Falcons played as the game progressed in the second half. They played like they wanted to win the game. Even the Falcons' pressure in the front picked up because in the first half, the Falcons' pressure wasn't really good. They weren't even really getting back there. Baker had time to throw the ball. But he was throwing the ball away from Justin Simmons and Jesse Bates. But in the second half, the Falcons started getting pressure. A lot more pressure. It's like they flipped the switch and then Bucs tucked their tail in their butts and kind of went into a shell, a comfortable place of relaxation. Like, what was the aggression at? Because Baker Mayfield did not have a bad game at all. He had a hell of a first half. But then absolutely undescribable, like what happened in the second half. Can anybody explain to me from what you saw from your point of view, from your TV or viewers at the game, what happened to the Bucs offense in the second half? What happened? Chris Godwin, I think Mike Evans I don't even think he was targeted in the second half. Maybe one time. I think Chris Godwin was targeted twice. Everything was Cade out and short, Rashad White check down, stuff like that. Can anybody explain that part to me? I'm happy to engage in what happened to the Bucs offense in the second half. They got outscored 19-6. What was Liam Cohen thinking? That is a sign of a rookie OC not understanding this is a divisional game. You have to put them away. You cannot play conservative in a divisional game that close on the road. The Falcons defense turned up. Their pass defense only allowed 182 yards. 131 of it came in the first half. So that tells you their pass defense did something well in the second half. I'm just saying, like, people joked about the Falcons defense, but I mean, their pass defense is pretty good with AJ Terrell, Justin Simmons, Jesse Bates. Like, you're not going to chuck the ball around them. But the Bucs should have challenged that, though. The Bucs should have challenged that. The Bucs should have challenged this Falcons secondary because Antonio Hamilton was the weak spot. Antonio Hamilton was terrible. The Falcons slot corner. Now, the starting slot got hurt. He got a concussion. So he was out for the game. And the Bucs did the right thing by attacking Antonio Hamilton, who played for the Cardinals. He's terrible. Scored 2 touchdowns on him, and they weren't even attacking him in the second half. Go watch the film, folks. It's like they just stop going at him. Evans touchdown went on him. Sterling Shepard touchdown went on him. And it's like second half, it's like, well, where's the passes that's going his direction? Because that was clearly the weak spot in their defense. I know they got Mike Hughes and AJ Terrell and Justin Simmons and Jesse Bates. But you're not going to attack the Falcons linebackers. You're not going to attack the slot. That's what Chris Godwin was there for. Remember the Cooper Kupp role. He couldn't get away from the Falcons linebackers. Cade Ellis and that rookie from Notre Dame. He couldn't get away from Antonio Hamilton. I thought it was the Cooper Kupp thing. What was that in the second half? I'm just pointing out what I saw. Too conservative, too scary. And hopefully Liam Cohen learned his lesson. But this is what's going to happen when you play teams that are equal or better. This is what's going to happen. You have to play to win. You cannot play to lose. In the second half, the Bucs played to lose. The second half, and the outcome shows it. The Falcons were the better team last night in the second half. They wanted it more. The coaching staff wanted it. They made the proper adjustments. The 3 touchdowns Baker Mayfield had in the first half, they shut that down in the second half. That was not going to happen. They literally said, "Oh, no way how Liam Cohen's going to beat us." What he did in the first half. And I don't know if Liam Cohen ran out of steam. I don't know. I don't know if he ran out of steam with the play calling. It seemed like he exhausted all his options. They went to the gap scheme. They was running gap scheme runs, and it was working. They was doing stretch zone runs before, but this game they went gap. And the gap runs were gashing the Falcons defense. And then the run game was there. Then they kind of went away from it. It was like weird. And then at the end of the game, they started throwing the ball a little bit, but it was like short passes, and it was getting tackled, loss of 2 yards, and then a holding call. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't play like that. Oh, well, the referees missed the face mask call. I get it. They missed a couple calls, but that's not going to you can't overlook the totality of the game. The totality of the game, you can't overlook it. You cannot overlook the bad coaching, the piss poor offense in the second half. And think about it. Think about this for folks. The Bucs kicked 2 field goals in the second half. It's funny how this works. The Bucs were still up until the fourth quarter. They were still up. And you knew your defense was bleeding, like it was bleeding bad. It was like they couldn't stop a runny nose. Offense must help the defense. This is how teams work. It's 3 phases. You can't just leave one side dry. It has to be 4 quarters. It can't be 2 quarters. You cannot be front runners in the first half, and in the second half, coast your way. It doesn't work like that in the NFL. This was a bad loss. This is a WTF loss because the Bucs were they was in control of the entire game, even up until the 2 minutes left. Matter of fact, a minute and some change left, they still were winning. And then before the Falcons tied the game, the Falcons get the ball with no timeouts. What is a minute and 12 seconds left? The probability of wins for the Bucs was still over 90%. The Falcons had no timeouts. Kirk Cousins. The Bucs are up 30-27. You thinking to yourself, the Bucs better make a play, because it was like, we need one of those Levante David, Vita, somebody with a scripts fumble or whatever the case may be. We needed one of those. And I kept asking myself, if we don't get one of those, it's gonna be a problem. Just like in the Eagles game when Levante David changed the game. Because the Eagles had momentum, they were driving. You could see the Bucs defense start to falter, start to give up a little bit, and then Levante David said, "Okay, I got this." And every time Levante David was trying to make a game-changing play, every time Levante David was blitzing, I noticed what Todd Bowles like to do when things kind of get a little too close for comfort, and team is starting to do too much. Todd Bowles panic blitzes, and he'll send Levante David to go get the quarterback to go make a play. But Falcons running backs was not having that. Tyler Algier, B. John Robinson was stoning Levante David and KJ Britt when they blitzed with the linebackers. That was not going to happen. Every time I saw Levante David blitz, B. John Robinson, where you going? Stonewall. Tyler Algier, Stonewall. Like, they couldn't get back there to Kirk Cousins. Every time things get tight, Todd Bowles sends Levante David. This is a normal thing for him. In the Falcons, Zach Robinson, the OC, was very aware that Levante David is coming in to make a play. If Levante David would have got the Kirk Cousins, I'm pretty sure he would have made a play. But B. John Robinson was not having it. Every time Levante David came hard, B. John Robinson, bang, where you going, old man? I'm like, he stonewalled Levante David. Gave Kirk Cousins the time they needed, throw the ball down the field. First down. I'm like, damn. Clock ticking. Kirk Cousins shotgun, hut. Another blitz, stonewall. Another 5-7 yards, second down. Hurry up. 50-something seconds left. Another catch. I'm like, good Lord, the Bucs couldn't get back there. They just kept sending blitzes in, and your secondary was not playing well, and you putting them out there to leave them out to dry. And then by the grace of God, Darnell Mooney dropped the ball. Like, literally, Jamel Dean, I don't know what Jamel Dean was doing. He was in la-la land looking around, I guess dusting himself off from the ground because he fell or something. And Darnell Mooney dropped the ball. And then what's so happening is it benefited the Bucs because it put the Falcons in a long distance situation, or not long distance, third down or fourth down, because it was 4th and 4, something like that. It was third down, fourth down. And it was like, well, the Falcons are not quite in field goal position, and then they get the first down. It's like, well, on fourth down, like, just make one play. But the defense was gassed. Big Buck was at the game. Kirk Cousins had all day on third and fourth down. I mean, when Darnell Mooney dropped that ball, I'm looking at Jamel Dean like, what are you doing? Now, Big Buck was at the game, so he could tell you exactly what he saw. So all you guys in the comments section running your mouth like, oh, well, no, well, I got a guy that was at the game himself. He was at the game. He literally telling y'all Kirk Cousins had all day on third and fourth down. Or let me guess. Oh, Big Buck lying. He lying. I don't care if he was there. He was at the game, but I don't care. He lying. He on TV. I saw that. He was at the game, but he lying. Okay, man. Kirk Cousins get the ball on third down, fourth down, first down. I'm like, oh man. So then the Bucs make a stop, and it's like, okay, Young Hong Koo missed 2 field goal. He had some trouble kicking. I'm like, is he gonna make this? Is he gonna make this field goal? He's a pretty good field goal kicker too. And boom, now we have 30-30. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. All the work that the Bucs put in, holding on for dear life in the second half. That's basically what they were doing. Holding on for dear life. Barely trying to, we got to get out of this with a victory. You can see the Bucs was panicking because Todd Bowles was calling anything. And Kirk Cousins got in a rhythm, and it was like, I got y'all. He made some hellified throws. Picking the Bucs secondary apart. Injuries or not, he was picking them apart. Because we just as much as we praised Todd Bowles for that last week victory, we had injuries last week, and y'all was jumping up and down, chest bumping, and Todd Bowles this. And I gave Todd Bowles credit. But when we see games like this, it's like, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. All you had to do is make one play and the game is over with. And then what's so funny is, let me back up a little bit. Levante David gets the interception. People trying to get at Levante David saying he should have knocked the ball down and the Bucs would have had a better field position. But in the heat of the moment, it's almost like I'm gonna catch it. Oh, he shouldn't have caught the interception. You know what I'm saying? But Levante David probably was thinking pick six. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people got mad at Levante for getting the interception. And then, but even with the interception, you thought to yourself, that was game. That was game. The interception by Levante David completely read perfectly by Levante David. Game time. And when he got the interception, I was like, oh, that's game. I even said it myself. I was like, that's game. When Levante David got the interception, how many of y'all said game? Blouses. Nobody in the secondary had a good game allowing 500 yards. I've never heard of a secondary giving up 500 some yards. And it's, oh, yeah, everybody had a good game in the secondary. Hell no. Exactly, Big Buck. When Levante David got an interception, I was like, well, even that was game time. A lot of us said game time. We got the dub. We finna move to 4-1. I even said that. I was like, oh shoot, the Bucs found a way to, get out of here with a dub and get on out of here. And, I know it was tight. It was dramatic at the end, but Levante David, closed the game down. And then the Bucs get the ball, and this is where the inexperienced Liam Cohen comes into play. Liam Cohen gets the ball. Oh, I don't know what to do. Screen pass, screen. Okay, Kata. Oh, screen pass. Oh, let me run the ball. I don't know what to do. Oh, screen pass for Rashawn White, 2-yard loss. Holding Graham Barton. Oh, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then it was like, oh, punt. I was like, what? Falcons had 3 timeouts and used all 3. It was 3 wasted downs. I get it. They missed the face mask. I get it. I'm with you. They missed the face mask. I saw it too. I saw it. But it was a holding call on Cody Barton or Graham Barton. And it would have offset the penalties, and the Bucs would have been at the 31-yard line. I get it. But they didn't call it, so you can't just hang your hat on that. Screen pass to Rashawn White. What are you doing? It's like you literally saying, and then they punt the ball, and then the ball goes into the end zone. So it was like, oh, the net yardage was like maybe 19 yards, 21-yard net punt. Like, what the? Now you got the minute. It was like a minute and 44 seconds left. And then you look up, it was like a minute and 12. It's like the Falcons got plenty of time on the 20-yard line to drive down the field, get a field goal. And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. When they got the ball back, I was like, okay, this is not good. This is not good. It was the holding call jump to. It was the holding call by Graham Barton, the missed face mask call, but it was a holding call on Graham, so it pushed the Bucs back to the 38-yard or 39-yard line. Then they threw a screen pass to Rashawn White for a 2-yard loss, which knocks them back to the 41-yard line, and they punted. Well, if Todd Bowles had big cojones, then why didn't he kick a field goal with Chase McLaughlin? Like Chase was good for 50 plus. Chase was good for 50 plus, so I don't even know why he didn't attempt that. Like it's like Bowles kind of gets confused in moments. Like Chase could have made a 56-yard field goal. 57-yard field. Like Chase was good from 50 plus. He might have would have hit a 60-yarder. But Todd Bowles didn't have the cojones to kick the field goal because he was scared. Yeah, but Thurmatic, I get the face mask call. People trying to hang me a hat on that one call, but they trying to skip over the fact that it was not a good game by Todd Bowles. 509 yards. Nobody played good in the secondary. I don't give a damn how you feel. If you want to come see me about that, come see me. We can sit here and watch tape. 500 yards. Nobody played good in the secondary. Nobody. Nobody played good in the secondary. 509 yards. He set an NFL record. The only quarterback in the NFL history with 250 yards plus in both halves. Are you serious? It's like you you watch your team play a good game for like 58 minutes and 16 seconds. And then the last minute and 44 seconds, they fall apart. Sometimes the game is not over until it hits zero. The game is not over until it hits zero. That was a bad performance in the secondary in particular. The back seven, poor performance. I don't care how you feel, because if you can feel that way, you should see it for what it is. There is nothing good giving up 509 yards. There is nothing good behind that. Most of those yards came in the middle of the damn field. Who was in the middle of the field? Don't worry, I'll wait. That was a WTF game. And the reason why I call it a WTF game is because the Bucs were in complete control for 58 minutes and some change. Exactly. When situational football comes down to coaching, no matter how you feel as a Bucs fan, just from a football fan perspective, situational football from coaching matters. That's a WTF game, folks. That's shoulda, coulda, woulda. I can do this all day. It's too easy. But at the end of the day, the Bucs lost 36-30. That's a WTF game, folks. And I told y'all about these games. I said the Bucs cannot have WTF games. And what happened? The Broncos and the Falcons. And then I seen some Bucs fans, oh, the Bucs should be 5-0. Okay, here we go with that. Here we go with the Bucs should be 5-0. Well, the Falcons should be 0-5. But nah, they 3-2. Leading the division. 2 division wins already over the Saints and the freaking Bucs. So they're basically up 2 games. And then remember, the Falcons schedule gets easy. Remember, all four teams in the NFC South have, in the top 5 easy schedules, 4 teams out of the NFC South have an easy schedule. The Falcons are going to win a lot more games, folks. And that's my point. Because their schedule gets easier. And it's almost like they're starting to trend up. They're starting to kind of find their way. And hopefully the Bucs kind of get in that pocket too. But it ain't going to be easy. Hopefully the Bucs get into that pocket of finding who they are. But it's going to take a little minute. This is almost like a mirror image of last year. A rookie OC, Todd Bowles as head coach, some inconsistent young players. You can see it's literally right there in your face. Started 3-1, then had a bad game, and all of a sudden it was a ripple effect. And if I'm not mistaken, was it the Eagles game when the Bucs were 3-1? They beat the Bears, the Vikings. It was somebody else. It was the Bears, Vikings, Saints. It was the Bears, Vikings, Saints, and they lost to the Eagles, I think, and then they lost to the Lions, and then all of a sudden it was a ripple effect for like the next 7 games. They went 1-6. It's like a mirror image. Like it's 3-1. Even Baker Mayfield talked about it. He said like last year we were 3-1, blah blah blah, and then shit. I mean, then stuff just happened, and it didn't make any sense. And it's like it started with a game like this. Then it just became a ripple effect for the next several games. We saw it last year. It's the exact same scenario. I'm telling you, it's a mirror image of it. Before the Bucs went bad, boom, it was a game like this, and then all of a sudden 1-6 in the next 7 games. This was the game that remember that there's pivotal points in the season, right? There's pivotal points in the season for any team. There's a point in time where, okay, if you get over this hump, things are going to be a lot more brighter down the road. If you don't get over this hump, it's not going to be the end of the world, but it's going to be like, okay, damn, we still got some work to do. If the Bucs would have got the dub, that's 4-1. So that's a different outlook going into this. Going in like we in the gauntlet now, folks. The gauntlet started last week with the Eagles. We're in the gauntlet. Right? It's so funny when you look at the Falcons game. Kirk Cousins throwing the ball 58 times, 509 yards, and then you just look at it, put it into perspective here. The Falcons scored. Throwing for all those yards. And then when you go back a couple weeks, just put it in perspective here. The Lions were in the red zone 7 times, and they came out with 1 touchdown. They were 1 for 7 in the red zone. Fast forward to the Falcons game. The Falcons actually converted. And they threw the ball 58 times because they were down for the most of the part of the game, but they weren't down by a lot. But they was just throwing the ball because the Bucs were so geared up to stop the run, they forgot about Kirk Cousins and him passing the ball. Now, there were some times that the Bucs did get pressure on Kirk Cousins, but for the most part, he had some time to throw that ball, and he made some hellified throws. So sometimes you just got to give credit where it's due. Now, y'all know me about Kirk Cousins. The Kirk Cousins, the Baker Mayfield, the Jared Goffs, the Trevor Lawrences, they all wired the same. They'll give you some games like this, and they'll give you some WTF games. Right? But last night, you gotta give credit where it's due. Kirk Cousins said, "I got this. I think I got my legs under me. I got my legs under me." First down, and then in overtime, of course people like, Baker was supposed to call heads. He called tails. Then he called heads. Falcons get the ball, and then they get the ball, and they're moving in overtime. I'm like, well, what's going on with the defense? The defense was gassed. There was nothing that Todd Bowles can call in overtime that was going to stop the Falcons. Just go back and look at the overtime drive. Go back and look at the overtime drive. There was nothing that the Bucs could do defensively to stop the Falcons. It's a damn shame. It was like, damn, like they gassed. Because the Falcons kept throwing the ball. Zach Robinson, I got to give credit where it's due. The Falcons OC, Zach Robinson. Because remember, Zach Robinson, Liam Cohen, they came from the Sean McVay tree, So Raheem kind of knew what the Bucs were doing in the second half. Shut it down. Raheem was the better coach in the second half. The better coaching staff were the Falcons because they closed the game. The Bucs coaching staff did what they can do to hold on, but holding on doesn't win you games. Oh, that was a good game, but you got an L. Good game by the Bucs, but you got an L. Remember, the game comes down to about several plays. Jesse Bates. I keep bringing him up. She calls 2 fumbles. He is their Lavonte David. Like Jesse Bates is their Lavonte David. When there's a play that needs to be made, here comes Jesse Bates with an interception, a forced fumble, or whatever the case may be. And what did he do to Bucky Irvin? And look, I'm not mad at Bucky Irvin. Bucky Irvin had a good game. I'm not mad at him. But when you around a guy like that, you gotta have that ball high and tight because Jesse Bates is really like that. Jesse Bates really like that. Hashtag, he really like that. Oh, he not good. He not good. He not good. Okay. Because he's not on our team. Okay. He not good. Okay. Nobody's good nowhere else, but only the Bucs. Only the Bucs got good players. Nobody else do. Justin Simmons terrible. Okay, man. You got to be kidding me. Jesse Bates made the play. Basically, he's the reason why the Falcons won the game. That fumble, that forced fumble, it was game time. It was like that. If you go back and look at that play, it just changed the trajectory of the game. The Bucs are on their way to winning the game. Jesse Bates didn't even try to tackle Bucky Irvin, really. He was going for the ball the entire time. Look at his fist. Rewind the tape. Jesse Bates wasn't trying to tackle Bucky Irvin. He saw the ball. I'm gonna do the fist. He balled his fist. I was like, oh boy. When I slowed that play down, I was like, he wasn't even trying to tackle Bucky Irvin. And I'm not mad at Bucky Irvin because he had a good game. He should be the number one running back. Clearly. But Jesse Bates is really like that. Oh, he's terrible. He's terrible. He's terrible. He's terrible. He's terrible. Jesse Bates is horrible. Jesse Bates is terrible. Okay, man. Okay. Sure. Yeah, okay. Jesse Bates, basically the play of the game. Fumble. I was like, damn. I wanted the Bucs to kind of get out of that game with a dub, but it's just like everything started becoming an avalanche. Because after that fumble, it was like, damn. And it was just momentum is for real, folks, in football. Jesse Bates wasn't even trying to tackle Bucky Irvin. He was going straight for the ball. Levante David do it. Jesse Bates do it. Like, it's a couple guys that just got a knack for doing that. Shout out to Jesse Bates. I like guys like that. I like guys like Levante David because they really like that. Levante David, Jesse Bates, they really like that. I don't care how you feel about the other team's player, but they really good because they do that stuff. Winfield Jr., he really like that because we got two of them on our team. We got Winfield Jr. and Levante David. They known to make plays like that. But just so happened yesterday, Jesse Bates was the guy. I just did not like the overtime defense. I didn't like the second half. I didn't like the offense second half. Went too conservative. It's the game of football, man. I don't care how many plays that team runs or any team runs. If a game is tight, just go back and circle 5 to 10 plays. You're going to be like, that's the game right there. And those 5 to 10 plays, the Falcons made more plays. Whether it was 6-4, 7-3, as far as the 10 plays of the game, the Falcons won that battle. They definitely won the coaching battle in the second half. But they really liked that in the second half. They shut it down. They shut the Bucs down in the second half. 6 points. The Falcons defense shut the Bucs down offensively to keep the offense in striking distance. That's how you play complementary football. Make the adjustments when your defense is not playing good at halftime. Hopefully your offense pick up, which the Falcons offense wasn't bad at all in the first half. But in the second half, they kept that same energy and they kept pressing the Bucs defense, in particular in the middle of the field in the secondary. They kept pressing, and the Falcons defense shut the Bucs down. Punt, field goal, fumble. And here comes the Falcons offense. You can't win games punting, field goal. When a game tight like that, you got to score a touchdown. And then, like, what's so funny is like when the Bucs lose, we tend to get in our feelings. Some of us get in our feelings and try to discredit the team that we lost to. You can't do that. Because if we beat the team that if we beat the Commanders, we beat the Eagles, we beat the Lions, you're jumping up and down like, yeah. But then the Bucs lose, the Bucs, I mean, they not that good anyway. Okay, they beat us. Well, they lucked up and beat the Bucs. Well, guess what? If it would have been the roles would have been vice versa, you wouldn't be complaining. If the Bucs were down like the Falcons were, and the Bucs came back and won the game, you wouldn't be screaming luck then. Stop trying to discredit the team that beat the Bucs. Just accept the loss. That's what makes people look goofy. When you try to say, oh, they got lucky, and that's not, but if the shoe's on the other foot, you'll be like, we'll take that dub. But just like the Lions game. The Lions dominated that game offensively and defensively, and we beat them Was that luck? Was that luck that we beat the Lions and the Lions dominated that game? Oh, okay. It's when the Bucs lose, the other team is lucky to win the game. Stop with the nonsense. You sound crazy when you say stuff like that. You sound crazy. You can't win them all. The people that talk like that got the Bucs going 16-1, 15-2, 14-3, 13-4. Them the people that talk like that because they can't accept the loss because they don't believe reality. The reality is 36-30. I don't care how you feel. 509 yards is reality. I don't care how you feel or how lucky the Falcons are. They got the dub. That's the reality of it. Accept it. If you can't accept reality, go stand in the corner and cry. Go stand in the corner and cry because nobody cares. Every team will lose a game. The Chiefs will lose. No team is perfect, but you got to be able to be a real fan and accept losses. Accept the loss as a real fan and look at your team as a fan and be like, damn, they got to get better. They got to get healthy. Do that. Stop crying and move on. Exactly, Sal. See, they want it both ways. They wanted to benefit the Bucs in both ways. If the Bucs lose, the other team just got lucky. But if the Bucs win a game like that, it's the Bucs just pulled it out. We good to go. Two prime examples. We beat the Lions. The Lions dominated. And we squeaked out the victory. People jumping up and down, chest bumping. Fast forward a couple weeks later, dominated the Falcons for most of the part of the game, lose the game. Oh, the Falcons lucky. Okay, man. What are we doing here? What are we doing here, man? What are we doing here? You can't have it both ways. You're going to lose on this channel. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. We got dominated by the Lions. We won the game. We dominated the Falcons and lost the game. Oh, Falcons got lucky. Oh my gosh. You got to be kidding me. The delusional. The Lulu. Anyway, let me read these super chats before I clap this up. The Falcons are going to win more games, folks. The Falcons are going to win more games. I promise you. The Saints will and the Bucs will. Yeah. The first team to 9 wins. I'm telling you. Watch. But Mopar Buck with a $20 super chat. He mad. You cussing, man? Don't cuss Mopar Buck. Come on, man. I saw the game like you did, man. Mopar Buck with a $10 super chat. Bowles is officially the only coach that has multiple record-setting games and not in his favor. 509 yards is crazy work. That is asinine. That's bad, man. The Bucs pass defense like bottom 3 in the NFL. Probably. Actually, that game last night put the Bucs at 32. That's gonna be hard to be NFC Championship, Super Bowl type situation. Like giving up that many passing yards, man. That's tough. That's tough, man. You can't give up that many passing yards and expect to go to the NFC Championship game, let alone Super Bowl. Marley with a $2 super chat. Marley in the building. What's up, buddy? Big Buck, who was at the game. So if you get mad at me, go talk to Big Buck. He actually saw it live. So when you see games in a live perspective, it gives you a better outlook. So don't get mad at me for what I'm saying. Go talk to Big Bucks. He'll tell you exactly what happened in person. Which one I'm going to listen to? Somebody that was there, that was watching the game, or somebody that was on TV. There's no disrespect, but I'm going to go with the guy that actually can see it in live action. It makes a lot of difference. It makes more sense. Man, you would have thought Atlanta won the Super Bowl. Yeah, they was crunk. Yeah, I got that swag. You know I got that swag. Swag and I serve. I swag and I serve. And naughty, my polo on my body. It's all good, man. I'm not tripping. I'm just telling how it is. Captain Kirk got one, man. He got us. And the thing about it, we got to play the Falcons again at the end of the month in Tampa. In Tampa. That's going to be another good game. But before we get to the Falcons, we got to play we gotta play. We gotta play the Saints and the Ravens. So I'm telling you, folks, it's and the Ravens ain't gonna. The Ravens gonna be a problem. I'm telling you that right now. Even the Saints gonna be a problem. I'm just saying. I'm just letting y'all know we got 10 days to rest up, and hopefully, Luka Decky and Gedeke and Winfield Jr. and Kalijah Clancy come back, and Jalen McMillan comes back, and Trey Palmer becomes a factor, and everybody gets healthy. You got 10 days. It's like a mini bye. But the Ravens and Saints are going to be a problem. Just like I said, the Falcons. I said this, folks. It's not hard to understand football and matchups. I said the Falcons are going to be a problem. The Saints are going to be a problem. The Ravens are going to be a problem. The Chiefs are going to be a problem. The 49ers are going to be a problem. I literally told y'all this. They're going to be a problem. These next 5 games will not be easy, folks. And don't be surprised we lose a couple of them. The projection got the Bucs going 1-4 the next 5 games. I'm just saying. Yeah. But anyway, overall, though, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, there were some good things there in the game. Bucky Irving, Rashad White had a nice little run, 56-yard run. Levante David did his thing, for the most part. The O-line blocked well in the first half. Because I think somebody mentioned in one of the commentators, the Bucs O-line is built for pass blocking. Like, in the Bucs running game, the takeaway from this game, the good thing about it is the Bucs running game got something to build on. Now, granted, you're going against the Saints defense, who's pretty good against the run, and the Ravens, but at least that the Bucs got something to build on with the running game with the gap scheme. If they run gap scheme, that's pretty cool. Now, the zone scheme and power scheme, they're not good at. But the gap scheme might work. The Bucs got something cooking now. So there is some good takeaways out of this. Baker Mayfield had an efficient game. We just need him to be a little bit more, and it's not his fault, but, you got to close games out. You can't just have an Eagles game and then have a Broncos game or a second half Falcons game. We got to get the Baker 4 quarters, like the Commanders game, the Eagles game. We got to get the Baker 4 quarters, not the Baker in 1 half. You can't front run and jumping around and beating the chest in the first half. The Lions game, it was, shaky dakey. Defense bailed the offense out. The Broncos game was terrible. And then the Eagles game was good, and then the Falcons game, first half, he was on point. And then the second half, it was kind of like, what? 131 yards in the first half, and they end up with 182. So you threw the ball. You have 51 yards net passing in the second half. Like, in order for Baker Mayfield to take the next step, he's got to be more consistent. So in general, the Bucs in this game were consistent but inconsistent. And the Bucs offense is literally a passing offense. They're not a run offense. Like, one game doesn't change the outlook, right? Up until this point. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with the run game moving forward. They got something to build on, but going from game 1 to this game, 4 games of like not really good running game, and then 1 good run game. But it's something to build on. It's something to build on, folks. Hopefully the running game, like I said, the best version of Baker Mayfield when he has a running game. I'm always going to say that. So I'm not going to open up the locker room tonight because I got stuff to do. I'll open the locker room tomorrow. I think I'll open up the locker room tomorrow. And we'll have a more in-depth conversation. I'm not going to say much tomorrow if I open it up tomorrow, but yeah. Byron Moore, $20 super chat. Did we really just give up 509 yards to Cousins, and he didn't even have Jefferson like he was in Minnesota? Yeah, 509 yards to be exact. Yeah, I mean Drake London, Kyle Pitts, even the overtime interception. I mean overtime catch by what's his name on number 12, Hodge. Zion McCullum went for the he took a chance. If he wouldn't have did that, he would have tackled him. But Zion was trying to make a play. I'm not mad at that. Zion's had a really good season, so I'm not mad at that. But yeah, was it Bucky Hodges or whatever his name is? And he caught the ball and he took off. He burned rubber on the Bucs for real. Like he burnt rubber. And the Bucs did a good job stopping the Falcons run game, but I think the focus was too much on the run, stopping the run. Kirk Cousins was like, I'm gonna eat you up. Who that for like $2 in chat? Sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way. It is what it is, like I said, but the Bucs got away with it, and now they didn't get away with it. But the Bucs run defense did a good job containing Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. Low key, Tyler Algier might be the RB number 1. I ain't gonna lie. I'm just saying. Anyway. But yeah, hold your head up, Bucs fans. I just had to keep it 100 with y'all. The season's not over with. They 3-2, still over 500. They behind the Falcons, right? Keep your head up, Bucs fans. I love to keep it real, even whether you disagree with me or not. I try to base this conversation on facts, not a field type channel. There's a lot of channels out there across the NFL, fan channels that are a lot more how they feel. I'm more of a I believe in what I see. Facts over feelings. So 509 yards is a fact. Nobody played good in the secondary. Nobody. But Todd Bowles, man, you gotta tighten up. That's disappointing. That's disappointing, man. And then they got to go on the road to New Orleans. Like, oh, that's painful right there. And New Orleans is not an easy place to play, right? Yeah. So Creole King 3333. What's up, man? Appreciate it, man. I try to, I'm not perfect, but I try to be as close as possible to reality. And I think me talking like this and with my mindset and how I look at football is more closer to reality. I think the fans that are highly optimistic fans, very, very highly driven, diehard fans, they tend to not like that type of channel because that's not what they want to hear. They want to hear the fluff. They want to hear the magical fairy tale and go hoorah and woo, 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 woo. But channels like me, it's more close to reality. And it's not good for those fans to be like, because if you come in with the mentality of the Bucs can't do any wrong and they lost because the other team lucky, and those fans are going to have a hard time kind of like listening to my channel because it's not based on fairy tales or how you feel, so I try to keep as close as reality. Like when I mean by reality, that means when you wake up and what you touch, not what you feel. I can care less of how you feel, and that's no disrespect, but I don't feel football. Football is not a feel sport. You got to stay logical and realistic, man. Because some of them, man, listen to some of these channels, man. It's like, wow, they really tap dancing. I'm not a tap dancer. I'm not a tap dancer. I'm very logical, very fact-based driven. You can be mad as possible, but I'm still gonna give you the facts, the cold hard facts. I can't give you the ugly lie or the pretty lie. I'm sorry, the pretty lie and the ugly truth. I really give you the ugly truth. So with that being said, shout out to all the Powers and Sea Bandits. Thank you for joining. I will open up the locker room tomorrow so y'all can vent and I'll listen. Y'all can vent and how y'all feel and all that stuff like that. And I'm not gonna really be engaged, but I'll let y'all vent a little bit. I know y'all got more to say, but I got stuff to do. I got somewhere to be at. Fire those cannons. Seize the day. Raise the flag. Hashtag inconsistent. Hashtag what are you doing? Hashtag why? Hashtag facts over feelings. Hashtag probability over possibility. Hashtag don't get mad at me. I don't play the game. I just talk about it. Hashtag OU negative. Hashtag trenches matter. Hashtag it's about to get real. Bucs fans, hold your head up. Stop crying. We got 12 more games to go. I'm out. I'll see y'all tomorrow.